In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a very simple technique that will help you prepare for stressful situations in the IELTS speaking assessment. No matter how friendly or kind your examiner seems to be, the IELTS speaking test is a stressful situation. You spend a lot of money to do that assessment. You've been preparing for a long time, and now you are in the exam room. All of that pressure comes down on you at the same time. And the result is often our speaking performance is worse than it would be on a normal day. This is completely natural. It's how we all respond to stress. It's a part of being human that when we are in a stressful situation, we find it harder to communicate our thoughts. And so for a speaking exam, this is quite a problem. One of the worst ways that stress can sometimes affect us in an exam is when it makes us freeze. This is something that can impact people in all kinds of stressful situations. Maybe this has happened to you. I hope it hasn't, but maybe it has. Perhaps you're on a date with somebody that you really like quite a lot, and all of a sudden, you can't speak. No words come into your head. You can only get out maybe a short sentence or something like this. It's a very normal response to stress that all people can experience. And this can happen in exam situations too. And I have seen it many, many times in IELTS speaking assessments. A candidate who's otherwise quite strong all of a sudden just freezes. So this drill that we're going to go through here is something that you can use to help prepare a little bit for those moments when you freeze, or for those moments when you really feel like you have nothing to say. By using this drill as you prepare, it's almost like lifting weights. You're going to build up that response that's going to prevent that kind of thing from happening. So what is this drill or technique? It's really very, very simple. It's called the 3 Replies Drill. So how does this practice drill work? It's best if you have somebody to help you, to ask you questions. But if you don't, then you can still do this on your own very easily. You can do it while you're on public transport in the morning on the way to work or school. It only takes a minute or two to do. Do it regularly, and it should help build up your resilience and ability to give developed answers under stressful situations. So what do we need to do? Well, step 1 is you are asked a question. You can get lists of IELTS style questions, particularly IELTS Part 1 style questions, very easily through a quick search online. Step 2, you answer the question. But this is where there are some rules. Rule number 1 about how you answer the question is you must give 3 answers, and they must be different. So 3 different answers to the same question. That's rule number 1. Not 1 answer, 3 answers, and they must all be different. Rule number 2, the answer must be no more than 1 sentence. You cannot give a 2-sentence answer. You must give only a single sentence answer. So it's very important that you limit these responses to no more than 1 sentence. So before we go further, let's have a look at an example. Let's take an easy question, the kind of thing that could come up in part 1 of the assessment. Something like, I don't know, what's your favorite food? That should be an easy question that anyone in the world could answer. But if we freeze under exam situations, we may panic, we may forget what kind of food we like to eat, we may forget if we've ever eaten any food in our lives. So let's try and think of 3 very basic responses to that question. I could say something like, I like spicy food, number 1. I do like spicy food. Maybe I think about what I ate for dinner last night. I like Thai food. Then I like food from a restaurant. None of these are very good answers on their own. But they're all short. They're all a single sentence. Now, the final step in this drill is we simply combine them. So the question would be, what kind of food do you like? The answer could be something like this. I like a lot of spicy food, to be honest. Particularly Thai food is my favorite. If I have the chance, I like to go to restaurants to eat Thai food. But unfortunately, my family don't like spicy food as much as I do. So there we go. We've got 3 very basic ideas. None of them are very good responses to the question on their own. What kind of food do you like? I like spicy food. That's probably not going to be a very long, well-developed answer. I like Thai food. Well, perhaps you could develop that one. That could be talked about for quite a long time. But I like food from restaurants. On its own, that's a very weak answer. But if we combine them, all of a sudden, we have a very good response. So the way this drill works then is very simple. Somebody asks you a question, you ask yourself a question, then you try to give 3 replies. Each one no more than 1 sentence. Then in the next stage, you combine them into an answer. Simple as that. Try to do that regularly, and you will find your ability to respond under stressful exam conditions is improved. So why does this work? Well, it's quite simple, really. If we look here, we can see what kind of happens to many individual responses to IELTS-based questions. They start off quite strong with lots of ideas, and then as the candidate begins to run out of ideas and panic, the quality decreases. The candidate tries to stretch it out, adding on little bits of vocabulary here and there, and the answer isn't very well developed. Even if it goes on for long enough, it's probably not a very good response. What we're doing is we're taking one idea and we're trying to get as much out of it as possible, but it's not working. This is often what happens in exam conditions. However, if we can train ourselves, so instead of stretching our answers out, we broaden the base of our answers, it becomes much, much easier to give developed responses. So instead of having one idea, which we then stretch like this, we're combining 3. And as you can see, it's a much stronger, more stable basis for our answer. But it does need training and practice. That's why we do this as a drill. If you do this often, you will get into the habit when somebody asks you a question of thinking about it first, in terms of thinking about multiple responses, and then combining them. Now, it's not for everyone. But I've had many, many students over the years who have found this to be a very useful technique, or at least that's what they've told me, and it has helped them prepare for their assessments. So I hope it's useful for you too. Give it a try. It's not the only method. There are many, many other techniques that you can use to help you deal with stressful situations in the IELTS test, but this is a very, very simple one that you can try out and see if it helps you to perform better. So until our next video, I wish you all the very best of luck in your preparations for your IELTS speaking tests.